You are now watching Beloved and Pops Read by the Lake on Beloved Oracle Speaks YouTube.
All right. Let me see. Pops, we're. Hmm. Let me see. All right. Um, Page 46.
46?
I believe I might have read through that, but I would like to start there.
All right. All right.
All right. And so if you want to, you can read the questioner, which is the italicized.
Okay.
Or do you want me to read the italicized
No,
and
no,
you read what the booth?
I'll be the questioner.
I'm going to read the poem over here, okay, sir?
All right.
All
Not
right,
like
guys, here we go. Welcome in, everybody. Guys, we're going to read over here privately since there's some issues on TikTok, but we're here and this is what we're going to do. So I hope you enjoy, okay? We're doing this for recording purposes, so behave, guys. All right. Oh, beloved, you have taught me not to fear things of the mind or the world, but to fix my attention only upon you. Now, according to thy word, absorb my mind completely in thee. A divine play.
you often say things like, don't touch that and stay neutral. But my question is, what's wrong with engaging fully with life? And what's so good about being neutral? It seems to me that you're suggesting not to embrace life, not to trust our feelings, not to bother to participate in anything, that life is a waste of energy. But surely this can't be what you mean.
No, not at all. Nothing is wrong with the senses or with sense objects, with any object of perception, with the taste and the touch of personality, with any sensation or with any of the phenomena we call life. If it is seen and accepted as just what it is, the manifestation or play of consciousness, the world, its experiencer, and the act of functioning of experiencing are all the play of the single consciousness. Seen with a pure mind, consciousness and its ever flowing content are neither negative nor positive. They simply are. The entire manifestation is a divine play in consciousness. It is God's Leela, God's creative expression. However, it is illusionary. I do not offer this to you as a teaching, but as an invitation for you to take a closer look at what you consider to be yourself. Are you willing to be completely open minded throughout this investigation? I say, don't touch anything. This is said only to counteract the tendency or reflection to engage oneself with what is often mere mental debris as soon as it appears in the mind. It is the advice or instruction offered to serious aspirants of truth whose deepest urge is to be free from the hypnotic influence and power of the mind. By discovering the pure and immutable nature within, the spell of the mind is broken. For those who are ready to leave all else behind for freedom, this advice comes. Others who do what they want as compelled by their nature, that too is the play of the cosmos, and it is therefore also natural. The mature seeker's mind his or her own business and goes his or her own way.
But if I just do what I want, what if I do something wrong or unkind? I reap the result of my wrong action, don't I? It doesn't seem right to say all is an illusion, or that it's all just play, or that nothing touches me or matters to me.
I am not saying that exactly, and understand that there is no arrogance behind my statement. It is more that I am saying the life force itself does everything. Mind is only an interpreter. If I shoot someone in my dream, I will suffer in the dream, no doubt, even if unchanged in the dream, uncaught in the dream. Whatever moral values I have would confront me right there in the dream. However, when I wake up, can I be arrested in the waking state for a crime that I committed in a dream? That which causes the dream to happen, would that not also be responsible for the occurrences in the dream? Can that itself be caught and charged with any offense? And if so, by whom? Contemplate this. For example, one flow of electricity is directed to this apartment. In this object, it produces heat. In that one, cold airflow. In the television, it causes moving pictures to appear, and in the fridge, it makes ice. But electricity is none of these things. It is neither hot nor cold. It has no image. If someone is killed by an electric shock, electricity cannot be charged, found guilty, or sentenced to time in prison. It is neither innocent nor guilty. It is the same with the life force and the consciousness.
If this is the case, what is the point of feeling alive, of education, creativity, evolution, and striving for perfection in thought, word, and deed? You make it all seem pointless.
On the contrary, as pure understanding arises, and it needn't arise suddenly, it may be gradual. The sense of a struggling personal self, which has been so accustomed to identifying with, dissolves and it is replaced by an expansiveness of being. The old psychological idiosyncrasies and the habits may still linger, but they have lost their power. Just like a snake whose fangs and venom have been removed. And as the self within is seen to be the same self within all beings, selfless, selfishness, arrogance, and insecurities lose their hold, and effortless compassion flows outward towards all of life. You cannot find truth without love. It just won't blossom inside of your heart. Go into the belly of being and come up full. A master's help.
What is the point of being in satsang?
To know the truth of yourself with your entire being, true knowledge and understanding removes the feeling of separation or alienation from the completeness of being. Direct knowledge of self, confirmed in the heart, is whole, not partial. When the egoic tendencies are cut, realities reveal itself as pure awareness.
How can one cut the tendencies? Aren't tendencies also illusion?
Yes, they are, but your mind is not yet fully established in that understanding for this statement to be true. You have it intellectually, but it is not enough, and it won't last. Like a reflex, re identification with the ego will jump in, and in a flash, you will again be all in your mind stuff.
It all appears to be an impossible situation.
Investigate yourself or trust the supreme power. The identification with body and the active I sense gives rise to the personal mind, the personality. Identity implies there is an I entity. Find the entity you take yourself to be. When searched for, it vanishes. Why? Because it is not the real self. Self inquiry reveals this in a way nothing else can. Simply to say no one is there is only mental affirmation and has no lasting value. You may call it knowledge, but it is not your authoritative or direct experience.
Some teachers say investigation is also false, for it implies there is a someone there to inquire.
I am not interested in what other teachers say. Unless their words and presence strike me in an undeniable place, I don't agree anyhow. It is most misleading to say that investigation is also false, for it assumes the seeker has already recognized and realized he is the truth he has been searching for. Unless the seeker has had that profound recognition, this will merely remain a concept in his mind, and he may even believe that he has found the truth. And for a while, he will feel great joy and freedom, and the thought that is enough. But he is in denial. His mind is simply relieved that it does not need to tackle its emotional and psychological stuff. The seeker is constantly wearing an assumed identity. He is aware of the strength of his tendencies and wants to be free of them. It is as a result of the rising of the tendencies, and more importantly, the identification with them, that the reality appears hidden or difficult to reach. Effectively, the tendencies or habits of mind believed in hold the being hostage, as it were. If the seeker is deeply touched or moved by the force of truth or the energy field of the satsang, he begins to feel the power of the real self within. He experiences the influence of the heart's energy, which shines as peace, faith, joy, freedom, and love. However, sooner or later, the hardcore stuff, the latent tendencies of mind, begin to surface and cause the seeker to feel agitation, a sense of failure, disillusionment, and much discomfort. Feeling, feeling far from the great place he has tasted within himself, he becomes unsure, isolated, and often shrinks back for fear he will be overwhelmed by the mind force.
What is one to do? I feel so alone. There is a sense of desperateness.
If the urge for liberation is strong, the seeker will not give up. He will seek further guidance from a master. Like this, the seeker will be encouraged and guided to either surrender his personal identity or to investigate who suffers or feel the impact of such suffering. The true teacher will offer whatever advice is suited to the capacity of the seeker to grasp his real nature. A master's help is vital for success.
But you said all this is illusion, and then you speak all these words of instruction. I don't understand.
Stay in and as the wholeness. Don't fragment your mind. Words by themselves are not enough to be where I speak from. And what I speak of is true and truth.
This is confusing.
It's confusing because you are listening only with your mind.
If you know this, then why do you bother saying all this to me?
For now, others will benefit from this more than you. You may catch it up later. Do not reply on the rational mind only. Mind and heart are required. This is the real purpose and value of the guru, to recognize the needs of the seeker and to guide him appropriately until he moves beyond the need of help or external guidance. The sincere seeker must come to know he is the same as awareness. All right, you read this one, the poem
Got you.
or the excerpt.
Yep, I got you. Don't try to squeeze yourself into some shape. You just won't get through. You have to be shapeless, empty. Can you be shapeless? Like space? Like water? If so, you stand a chance. But how are you going to do it? Well, actually, you can't do it. You can only allow the words to somehow undo you. You can only allow the Guru's grace to deconstruct you so that only self remains.
Knowledge must be experienced.
Is there some practice we have to do?
There is nothing you must do or change to be what you are. However, there is something you must recognize in order to stop being what you are not. Investigate who you are. Through self inquiry, the ego self is exposed as a ghostly appearance in the light and presence of the real seer, the self.
I know that I know I am that. It's just that I forget easily. It feels that there's nothing one can do to help one remember.
It is not to know or to do, but to be. Knowledge must be experienced. When knowledge and experience are one, there is no separation. When they are one, knowing is being. Mind must remain in the heart. Only then knowledge becomes the direct experience of truth. Develop the habit of investigating yourself. Ask and seek earnestly within, but don't accept answers such as I am this or I am that. Allow the question to open up its light within you. Be quiet and alert and try to find out what I is. Who or what is I? Can I be seen objectively? Keep quiet while watching the various guises that I may assume. Sometimes the field of vision may suddenly become blurred or blank. The I thought may vanish, but do not start celebrating. Observe that the observing core of any activity is unmoved by any object of attention. Now, find out what watches the sense of self. Like this, search out the I concept and its observer relentlessly until both merge into silence. This will happen in much the same way the great artists are ever contemplating their work, or a good detective is always thinking about solving a case, like Detective Columbo. The one yearning for liberation contemplates the nature of pure self continuously, driven by some inner compulsion, until there remains only the concept free silence of being.
All you say is crystal clear. There is so much power even in the hearing of this alone. However, my mind won't let go of the thought that there is a hurdle to jump over. Then resistance comes up, and I just don't feel I have the strength to investigate.
Engage single mindedly in the inquiry as though your life depended on it, and then resistance will drop away in no time. The effectiveness of the inquiry is its, is its immediacy in revealing the false as false, thus leaving the self as the irrefutable reality. When your mind settles down in the heart, no one will have to convince you that this is your natural and original self. As maturity grows, recognizing the false and intuitively experiencing the self will be as swift as looking into a mirror and recognizing your face. Eventually, the mind or attention will remain effortlessly in the heart, thereby putting an end to all doubt and confusion.
Is there any scripture that backs up what you're saying here? Has any other master recommended this advice?
What I speak is nothing new, but is original in the sense that it is timeless and ever fresh. Sages over ages have discovered this simple truth and have pointed countless seekers towards constant investigation within, so that they may come to clarify and confirm it for themselves. I say, quit dilly dallying. If truth is what you yearn for, then go straight to the root of the matter. You won't get anywhere by sniffing around. Find out. I have shown you the way. Step boldly into this inquiry until your doubts are removed.
Mooji, what's the point of your question? Can the seer be seen?
As experience parade in front of you, you see them. You are the seer of them. They do not see you. Mostly, you identify with the seen. This is why I call attention to the seer itself. What is the true seer? Who can answer this question but the intellect of the seer itself? Let me ask you, can the seer have any form or quality that is discernible? Can you be that which has form? Can what you are be an object? Anything that has form, isn't that an object of perception? What is the position of the seer who sees the seen? The one who is attempting to clarify if the seer can be seen. Is the one the seer, or is it also an object in the seer's view? Who is the true seer then? How will the seer, how will the true seer be identified? Can it be identified even? And if so, by whom? Another seer? Contemplate this deeply and earnestly.
I cannot see the seer.
Who cannot see the seer?
I don't know. My mind?
The mind is naturally pulled into the inquiry, and you mistakenly take in the mind as the seer. But it itself is seen and can therefore not be the ultimate seer. Do you understand? The power of the question, can the seer be seen, is not in receiving an objective answer. The power lies in the introspection, in the attempt to locate the seer devoid of quality. This introspection burns a lot of psychic noise. What remains is only that, the indefinable one in recognition of itself in this body. This recognition is non phenomenal because the seer self is imageless. Images are recognized in that one self because there is no other to recognize any image as phenomenon. If the mind is the recognizer of images, then the seer is the recognizer of the mind. Do you follow? When you surrender fully into this investigation, you are led into the deep mysteries of this universe. Such is the potency of self-inquiry that by searching out the seer involves revelations emerge. Um, Sorry, let me repeat that. Such is the potency of self-inquiry that by searching out the seer, involuntary revelations emerge. You begin to sense the greatness and vastness of that immortal being which is dwelling in the body. Before the discovery is made, the being lives and appears in drag as a person. The Supreme itself is playing, portraying itself as all this. It plays the fool and the wise alike, yet it remains untouched and unmuted. When the being dreams itself as a journeyer, traveling to meet its own self, it appears to believe in its identity as a seeker so strongly that it does not even realize that it is chasing its own tail. Therefore, when it contemplates the ultimate truth, it perceives it only abstractly at first, and fear may spring up. If I push deeper and discover this, I might disappear. Something is laughing at this game, but you cannot hear it. Perhaps it is laughing at its own majesty. It is not a cynical laugh, it is a divine laugh. I am sure God is pleased with his own trick. Who but the Supreme could create such a play? I tell you that there is a room that you can only enter when you leave your mind outside and hold firmly to the inner being. I'll meet you inside. Go ahead.
Trying to stop the mind is like trying to stop the wind dressed as a kite.
That I am. Once there lived a king who desired enlightenment. He was deeply attracted to the spiritual philosophy of Advaita, which states that there is one undivided and all encompassing reality, and that this is what we are. The king loved spiritual discussions and enjoyed the company of saints and sages. One day, a naked monk stood outside of the gate of the palace. He had very long hair and long, curling nails, and carried only a staff. He had the appearance of a wild forest dweller. He he tapped 3 times on the great door of the palace. The guard opened the door, and after scanning the monk from top to toe, he asked, "What do you want?" "I have an appointment with the king," uttered the monk. "Wait here," replied the guard. "Close the door." "My lord," the guard reports to the king, "there is a naked monk outside, and he says that he has an appointment with your majesty." The king enjoyed playful pranks, but this time, being a little puzzled, he instructed the guard to ask the stranger if he was one of the royal ministers. So the guard returned to the door and asked the monk, "Are you one of the king's ministers?" The monk slowly shook his head from side to side and pointed his finger up towards the sky and answered, "Higher than that." The guard reported his answer to the king. He, he said, "He is higher than your majesty." "Higher than a minister? Is he my counselor?" "Are you king's counselor?" the guard asked when he returned to the entrance of the castle, and again came the reply, "Higher than that." "Your majesty, the naked monk says that he is higher than that," the guard told the king. "Higher than my counselor? Is he a priest or a prophet?" the king inquired. "Are you a priest or a prophet?" quizzed the guard. "Higher than that," indicated the pointing finger. "Higher than a prophet," the king said. Now straightening himself up. "Then he must be a king from another country." "Are you a king from another country?" the guard asked, regarding the monk with skepticism. "Higher than that," came again the reply. When the guard reported this to the king drew himself up to his full height and gathered his robe around him. He himself strode down to the great door of the palace. "Above the king is only God," the king replied when he saw the monk standing in the moonlight. "Are you God?" There was a long, intense silence. Finally, "Higher than that," uttered the monk, his eyes filled with wild brilliance. The king was struck by the power and presence of this strange monk, but he could not contain his curiosity. "What?" exclaimed the king with surprise and awe. "Nothing is higher than God." A soft smile opened on the monk's radiant face. "That I am," came the astonishingly reply. On hearing these words, the king's energy left his body and he collapsed unconsciously on the floor. The royal attendants brought his body to the bedroom where, for a whole week, he slept deeply. Finally, on the morning of the 8th day, he rose suddenly. The attendants brought the king his robe, and he would not put them on. "Give them to my son," he ordered. "My work here is done. I go in search of the one who is beyond all."
Wow.
That's nice. Okay. You can read the next one.
If something is happening to me, it must also be happening to God, because I am in God's hand. I am in God's heart, and nothing can happen to God.
This shape-shifting eye.
When you say fix the attention to the heart, the thought comes no matter what I do, I am identifying with an I.
It is enough to know that when the sense "I am" is recognized phenomenally, something more subtle lies behind and beyond. Looking for this something which lies beyond, No objective entity is found. The seeker and the sought merge in one, and all that remains is boundless silence and intuitive presence. The advice of those who recognize this is be there, be that. Now, is there something left to say?
There's a kind of total I.
In your haste to label it I becomes a concept before it has time to be absorbed within. What rushes forward to name it? Trace the roots, this urge or tendency to label. Evaluate or qualify perception. At the crucial point of recognition, a wordless instant, something springs up. Yes, there is an I, a total I, or some such remark. Don't identify with that thought. Instead, investigate what makes the response. It will become clear that it is still the ego creating a separation, a distance between I and self until it is exposed as nothing, nothing at all. If left unquestioned, the hypnosis of identity will remain undiscovered. Investigate your assumptions until they are exposed and recognized as mere thoughts. All of them, including the one who appears to be affected by them. This emotional, psychological I is also thought. Throughout the life of this body, something has been saying I millions of times. Yet, when asked who, where, and what is I, no one can say. Real self discovery is the recognition and realization of what this I is. The complete understanding that I is the supreme self and not a person, and that you are the one is what is called liberation. And crucially, vagueness about I is the ace card up the sleeve of the mind and is often missed or overlooked. I is the master thief itself. This is the thief Sri Ramana speaks about, the one dressed in the policeman's uniform who goes out to catch the thief, who is himself. Of course, the thief will never be caught. The policeman thief will run around blowing his whistle and pretending he is earnestly seeking the thief, but he will never find himself in jail. Ego will not and cannot kill ego. It is unreal. So, this thief, who really is it? The shape shifting I, when investigated, turns out to be only a thought, the most intimate and primal thought in manifestation.
I think I have several identities playing simultaneously. I regard each as a part of my one self I am.
Whatever idea you may hold about yourself, however profound, however accurate or objective you consider them to be, they cannot be true, cannot contain, convey, or represent that which you are. Ideas, feelings, and opinions are variable. They cannot be more stable than their observer. Bring your attention away from the object of perception and rest it on the witnessing awareness alone. Who are you here and now?
I am nothing.
Yes, you are no thing. You are no body. Is this a painful or disappointing discovery? When attention is absorbed in the heart, when the absence of identity there is supreme contentment, peace, and joy. This is the realization of the self. If you say to most people you are nobody, they would feel hurt or insulted. Why would you say that? Who do you think that you're talking to? They would cry and raise up their fists to fight you. But if you say to a sage, you are nobody, you are nothing, he will reply, thank you for reminding me. Although it is truth, he is beyond reminding. My master often said, "You need nothing to be happy. You need something to be sad." As long as you are investigated in the world of somethingness, peace remains elusive. If ego persists, there will always be the need for another trip, another book, another course, another chance, or another day. Your vision is shaped and influenced by the conditional mind. Therefore, you seem always one, two, three steps apart from yourself, your goal. Of course, this is not true, but it will feel true to you because you place that which you are at the end of some striving. The mind tricks you easily with its promises because you are eager to cooperate with its suggestions. True insight springs from emptiness. So, again, right now, what are you clinging to?
The idea that something needs to be done.
Activities will continue. They are the universe's spontaneous expression and are not in conflict with truth. But something needs to be done is a thought, a familiar, persistent, and believable thought. We rarely question such thoughts, for our culture trains us to strive and struggle for what for what in reality is the most natural, for what is already effortless present in ourselves. It paints self discovery, self awareness into a poetic fancy or a strenuous striving, obtainable only for a few. Therefore, the need to act, to do, to strive towards a goal that's far off seems inevitable. A voice we know says, "All this sounds true. I'll do some research, learn something about this new philosophy." It gives many great insights and teachings, the best I've heard. It will no doubt help me on my journey, and do believe it straight away, unquestioned. So in that instant, the water divides, the sense of separation is wedged in more tightly, and thus a journey is born. You are like the empty space in which the wind roams around. The nature of wind is to move from place to place, whereas space is infinite and still, and being infinite, incapable of even the slightest movement. There cannot be wind without space, but there can be space without wind. Space is not troubled by the activity of the wind. Neither gentle breeze nor hurricane affects it in the least. Similarly, you, the self, are boundless and unmoving, like space, but your identity with the movement of the wind, mind, playing inside of you, and you forget your real nature.
Sometimes the mind blows like a tornado. How can I calm it? It seems impossible. Even meditation doesn't help.
Even if wind turns into a hurricane, how can it affect or disturb space? Contemplate this. You meditate and do all sorts of things to make your mind more quiet. Let me ask you, is space more space like when the wind isn't blowing? Knowing this is to free oneself from illusory efforts to control the wind mind. Be space and let mind roam as it will. This is the secret my master revealed to me. Remain as the ever present awareness. To know and understand mind is to transcend mind. Mind is wind and wave. Self is ocean and space. Identify I as ocean, as space, and not as wave or wind. And instantly you are out of the I trap. Better still, identify with nothing and remain as you are. No one can remove I. Therefore, accept I as self and God, and everything is included within it. Where there is only one, no fear can exist. Take I to be the impersonal self. and not the personal ego. What remains now?
Nothing. Only some feelings arising.
Yes, now your words come from truth. Remain as the nothingness, beyond the concept of nothingness. Let thoughts arise, but don't nurse them. Because if you say, now I have to let feelings arise, the mind can quickly turn that into another task again. Let what arises arise and move about by itself without your involvement. Don't be a police. Don't be a thought police.
Actually, my heart is in total peace.
The attention has merged with the source, the self. There is neither interest nor disinterest. There is a state of effortless detachment. Therefore, you are happy. When you engage your attention with anything, you give it life. This is not to say you must not enjoy beautiful flowers, the beach, the sun, fine food, or the choice between having some sleep sleep or a swim should not be made. Be clear about this. The play of choice is a natural expression of the self in manifestation. Be natural. Be yourself in every situation, with everything. Be at ease with everything. Do not be a pretender. Recognize that whatever manifests in consciousness is a playful, momentary, and superficial expression, and not a definition of what is. It may be the playing out of age old conditioning on the body mind level, but you are pure and beyond all definition. Stay here.
There is a space within which is entirely empty. This is the real temple of nothingness. We imagine that if it turns you into a fool, we imagine that it turns you into a fool. But if you are a fool for not knowing and being it,
Mhm. First, know first know your true self.
I find it very difficult to go beyond ideas of you and me.
Let you and me be there. First, find out who you are.
When we see clearly that we are one,
What do you mean? In what way are we one?
we share everything.
Share means two or more. We, what is we? What is a person? What do we share? When you look at another person, what is it that you see?
A bundle of illusions, suffering, dreams.
You can hold the so called spiritual life, but still you may live in ignorance. Who are you? This is the most auspicious question that can present itself. Don't walk away from it. Many find it highly irritating. Perhaps this is why so few come to satsang. In the beginning, I thought many would come, climbing over each other in search of freedom. But where are they? Who really wants to be free? If you take yourself to be I, a person, you will take others to be you, him or her. That is why this saying stands true. I don't see the world as it is. I see the world as I am. This entire world, including its perception, its perceivers, is a great seeming. Look into this I you take yourself to be. You don't know how you know anything. We don't we don't know what knowledge is, and we don't know what there is to know. I ask, what is the source of mind itself, and what does it appear? Don't think, don't imagine. Just look. Stay with this investigation. When you pursue this question with yearning and determination, it will feel like you were on the back of a wild horse. It will try to throw you off, but you stay right there. Mind is being witnessed. what witnesses mind? If our basic assumptions about who we are remained unchanged, mind would be our identity. Something is prior to mind, watches mind, and knows its vibration, yet is unsoiled by mind. What is that? Can it be other than you, the soul self?
Could you say something about love?
Love is life, and life is love. Before all else, you love yourself. This love is the love and joy to be, to exist. The first attachment, it comes after the identification with this particular body has happened. Prior to this, you only had the intuition, I am, which is just impersonal presence. Later, you identified with the body and feel, I am this. This is the introduction and birth of the ego, the me, the unreal self. First, self love, then love, hate, or indifference for others. But I suspect you were hoping to hear about intimate relationships and emotional love.
Yes. Why are relationships so challenging, painful, and full of struggle?
Because you don't know your own self. You imagine you are the needy ego. Therefore, you always want something from others. You are not content with yourself. You wrongly imagine the other can fulfill your longing for completeness. But completeness can only be realized when you know who you are in truth. You believe that relationship will make you happy, which they may seem to do for as long as they meet your projections.
I would like to get the right balance.
Forget about all these things. Mind makes all this trouble. It always wants more and more. It is never satisfied. So many thoughts, so many desires and projections. It's never ending. The belly of desire is never full. First, know your true self, and the rest will not trouble you.
Life is desire. How can one live without desire?
Nonsense. You don't know what you're saying. The mind is full of desires, but you are not the mind. You know the mind, therefore you are before it. You are apart from it. Find this understanding, and you will discover with great delight that you are this unaffected presence. You live well without the mind. Use mind for particular things only. This is the best use of the mind.
I have read that many sages had partners.
That is true. Where's the fault in that? They enjoyed each other without attachment, if that was their destiny. Some of them suffered and had to run away to preserve their peace and sanity. Still, knowing this was just the play out of their karmas, their minds remained merged inside the heart of being. Your idea of relationship is based on desires and strong body mind attachment. Therefore, you suffer. They did not. A realized being does not hold such ideas in his mind. Their minds are empty as space, free from all personal identification.
You cannot travel home, for you are already there, but unaware of it. Like this, a journey is born and completed only when the dream, I am a person, is over. Understanding this, awake as the sleepless self.
Go for gold. Very often, thought comes, but they do not carry us away because we have no particular interest in them. We struggle only with thoughts and feelings which have meaning for us. Only after we have formed a personal relationship with them can they command and engage our attention. This leads to a subtle state of hypnosis in which our attention has hooked into a flow of thought and feeling which can quickly escalate into an emotional state of confusion and restlessness. We suffer because we are distracted from our true self, but we cannot also, but can we not also perceive this drifting of attention? At this point, we are not inside the dreaming mind yet. We are observing it, and if we don't log in, the thread of thought will quickly subside. We need not panic nor be afraid of thought, for thought activity is the natural display of the life force in its expression through the human instrument. It is our mistaken identification with the I thought, the root thought, which allows other thoughts, tendencies in our being. The earnest seeker must develop the habit of observing without identification with the phenomena arising in the mind. In this way, thoughts themselves are used to expose the ego self, when eventually the seed thought that is the ego is strained out. Pure seeing remains. When truth is recognized and confirmed within his heart, mind seems to switch sides, now moving into service to do the will of the Lord.
How can we attain this state? Thoughts seem so unrelenting.
Remain as space, like intelligence, the beginningness which sees without personal interest or engagement, being formless. It is incapable of association. Recognize and confirm its presence. It is already here as the ground of being. Be one with it.
The attention drifts off course. The attention drifts off course easily.
Each time the attention runs out, bring it back inside where it merges with awareness. There might be a little resistance and discomfort in the beginning, but this will gradually settle down as the silence comes to the foreground. This is the fruit of detachment or passive observing. It gradually becomes effortless and natural, rippling into an unbroken state of space, peace, and joy. Detached inquiry exposes the personal identity as a myth. It leaves the self in a state of passive and panoramic perceiving, free from the burden caused by personalized seeing. Gradually, the vast superstructure of conditioning and concepts that appear to have covered the self begin deconstructing until its concealing power is neutralized. Don't limit yourself to any state, however pleasing. Don't settle for bronze. By bronze, I mean spiritual knowledge, short-lived blissful states, and paranormal experiences. Find the one of these states, the one that is unmoving, undivided, and unaffected by events in time and space. Go for gold.
And I thought that you have been telling us not to go anywhere, that we're already there.
This is the one and only race you will win by going absolutely nowhere.
You want to do one more?
Sure. Yeah, this one is short, actually. We could do this next one. Go ahead.
Yeah. Beloved Father, it doesn't matter if you reject or banish me. For wherever I would go, it will be a place you cannot be.
Mm-hmm.
No. Let me do that again. Beloved Father, it does not matter if you reject or banish me. For wherever I would go, it will be a place you cannot not be.
Yes. Subtler than thought.
I know I am not what appears in the consciousness, that I am the witness and formless. Nevertheless, the force of the mind stuff continues to throb and doesn't seem to be subsiding.
This knowledge is what I call unswallowed food. It is mental and not the full experience of truth. If, as you say, you are the witness only, and we have seen that the witness is impersonal and formless, who will be there to be affected or disturbed by any mind stuff?
No one. But
Stop there. Where is the place for but? Who says but? Who even says no one? Can any answer be correct? There is no answer to the question, who am I? Why? Because the question is a subjective one. It is a search for the subject and cannot be satisfied by any objective response. The subject, that which I truly am, cannot be contained or conveyed by an answer which is merely a concept. The questioner, along with any answer, should be discovered as the mind and can thus be rejected as false, as an object in the view of the conceiver. I am that which witnesses mind. Therefore, I am earlier and subtler than thoughts and entirely formless. Therefore, when you say there is no one, you are to stop at that, sink into and be one with that recognition. Enter and rest in the evidence of your own discovery, which reveals no one and nothing am I. Nothing alone is. This is the confirmation. After this subtle intuitive recognition, all subsides into emptiness. Emptiness alone remains. Know and delight yourself in that. That was nice, Pops.
that was nice. I'm going to mark this page so we can pick up at a later time.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Have a beautiful day.